participated in the eviction defense this past month, and everybody has been, staying with the struggle, staying with the fight. We got a long fight ahead of us, and although today there was definitely some relative success, it's not over. It's not over. It's not even over unless, we get a couple residents to get some money so they're able to take care of themselves. It's definitely not over, even if that means he settles with all the rest of the people surrounding the property who are next in line to get displaced, despite the fact that they might not be on the property itself. Many people who are on the property line, most of whom do not actually have RVs or vehicles, are going to be displaced, and they aren't going to be provided with anything substantial. But if you were to take what, someone like Pat Smith, by the way, fuck Pat Smith, fuck Alan Horowitz, fuck all of their evictors. These people are parasites. They profit off of putting people out on the streets, which is still happening even during a pandemic. All of these moratoriums mean absolutely nothing. They mean absolutely nothing to working people, because at the end of the day, if somebody owns land, if somebody manages a property, if they decide they want to put someone out on the streets, they don't have people supporting them, they don't know their rights. Even if they do know their rights, they could just get put out on the streets. But let's say we take somebody as wicked as Pat Smith's word at face value, and we're saying, okay, Fred is being really generous, Fred's a good guy. He just wants to make a safe RV lot for people. Well, okay, that's interesting. Let's say you go down the street. You go down the street 8 blocks. You talk to the people that live at the safe RV lot down the street. You know what they'll tell you? They're getting shit. I've talked to so many people who have stayed there for 6 months and have not talked to one single social worker about getting into housing. They haven't talked to one single person about getting resources. And that's the whole fucking point of this thing. Or so they say. So they say it's supposed to get people into housing, into shelter, get the resources that they can get back on their feet. But no, ultimately, these different services, these different programs, they're a weapon that is used by the state, by these nonprofits, by these corporations to justify the further oppression and exploitation of people who are forced to live out on the streets. If you talk to people who live at the RV lot down the street, they'll tell you, earlier this year, they had a new supervisor come in who decided, without the input of any of the residents, not that they agree to this, but, democracy is great, y'all. Not that they'd agree to this, but, they decided that they would close the gates between 4 p.m. and 10 a.m. People couldn't even drive out to go to appointments, go to work, take care of other errands that they need to, and they're just expected to sit in there between the hours of 4 p.m. and 10 a.m. How many people only work between, 11 and 3? I mean, maybe this guy does, and he probably just sits at his desk all day and maybe makes some phone calls, But, that's dangerous. That's a death trap, especially considering there's no security. The supervisor isn't even there most of the time. And if there was a fire like the one that happened a couple weeks ago, who knows how bad it could get. But the conditions at these different, programs, at these different, RV lots, at these tuck sheds, they're horrendous. And not that's to say, well, if people can make it through this, we'll give them something. No, that's disgusting. But people aren't even getting anything. But I think, looking past that, it's important to recognize, that they're saying, oh, he's being so generous. Oh, he's giving something to the people. Oh, he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Well, first of all, he doesn't even have a contract with the city to build an RV lot. Second of all, even if he does independently decide to build his own fucking RV lot, probably through his own nonprofit that he created, that's ultimately so he can line his pockets even more. And like many of these billionaires and 100 millionaires, or however you want to frame them, more parasites essentially. That's essentially ways that different capitalists, different members of the ruling class are creeping into the social wealth of our society. The social wealth of our society is basically determined as the basic things that we get. And we don't get shit in the system. We do not get shit. If you go talk to people at the different housing projects, at these different programs, they aren't getting anything. And they want it to be that way. They want people to live in these conditions so they can be like, you know what? It's just not worth it. We shouldn't spend this money. You know what? We should just give it to this nonprofit. And they do it even worse. And that just allows the state, that just allows these corporations to wipe their hands and find another nonprofit. Oh, but they're doing something nice. They're not doing anything for the people. They're not doing anything. They're just fooling all of us, or trying to fool all of us. So,
Just want to say once again, it's great to see everybody out here. I know a lot of people put a lot on the line this past month, even today. You know, I think it's important to recognize that, I think it's important to recognize that Fred, his lawyer, wouldn't even settle with the residents until the contractor started assaulting people, until the contractor started pushing people around. You know, is that really what it's going to take? And not only that, think about all the people that lived on this lot who didn't get a settlement. Think about all the people that live along the fence that probably aren't next in line to get any sort of settlement. I mean, this is a small thing that they could get. This guy has over $200 million in assets. He runs multiple companies that have $1 billion of worth. He can settle for a few $1,000s. He can actually put people, all of these people, up in hotel rooms, up in fucking housing, maybe for the rest of their lives with what he has. And he wouldn't really have to pay that much. But that's not what he's interested in. That's not what any of them are interested in. And if they do this, ultimately, it's just a way to justify their wealth. It's to justify them exploiting you and keeping you down. Because they want you to think that the only way that we're going to be safe is like somebody like the benevolent Mark Benioff starts donating money. Fuck that guy. Fuck Mark Benioff. Fuck Alan Horowitz. Fuck Pat Smith. Fuck Fred Craves. Fuck all of these motherfuckers. They're the ones that are keeping us down. So we gotta push back against this narrative that they're putting forth. We gotta push back against them too. And it's gonna be a long fight, but it's a fight worth fighting. You know, nothing good ever came easy, but that doesn't mean it isn't worth fighting for. Alright. All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people!